Coach, do you expect to see Julius back anytime this semester?
Nothing's changed. His status is still the same.
If you look at before the season started and you knew you wouldn't have Julius for this time and Boots would be out and you're sitting at 9-4 going into conference play, would you take that?
I have probably thought of that alone a few times. I think the way I've tried to process it and learn from it is how fragile all of this is. That's the only time I've ever seen Boots hurt. And he was hurt. And I've never given many guys nicknames, but if your nickname is Boots and it comes from me, it's obviously based on your level of toughness. And I think Jew is a really good player. And I think he's probably as comfortable with the ball in his hands as anybody has played here of that size and that ability around the rim since Joe was here. And Thomas got to where he was pretty comfortable with the ball, but he was comfortable with it wherever he was. It just speaks to how fragile all of this is. Things that you can control, things that you can't control. But you still have a job to do, and whoever is healthy or whoever is in practice, give your best to them and require those guys to hold the line and keep the standard and be accountable for their opportunity. And whatever Boots was saying there at the end, that's true. Some of those guys have gotten better because of things that they couldn't control. It's given other guys opportunities.
Hearing Boots talk, it sounds like he has, an added appreciation for being out there. Not that he took, his playing for granted, but like you said, he's played for so long, hasn't really gone through, significant injuries. Have you seen, I guess, like a new, like him coming back, getting better, just maybe not a new approach, but just, something different about him, taking gratification out there on the court and how he goes about it this?
I think so. I think everything you said is right. I think he realized the fragility of it all. Those guys are all going to be the number one pick in the first round, and they work real hard at it, and they're on their way there. And when something unexpected happens, not only is there a physical element to it, but also a mental and emotional element, particularly for those guys that have been playing a long time and never had any level of injury. It's kind of like some of these guys that have had to have their first ever surgery, and you're trying to explain to them what anesthesia is. That they're not too happy, about that. And so, yeah, I do think that he appreciates it and is more grateful. I think there's a genuineness to, even a pureness to how excited he is to be back and be healthy and be in practice. And he's matured and grown, which you can from experiences like that.
What differences have you seen from the LSU team you're facing? Are they a different team than last year? And I guess what kind of problems?
They're a completely different team than they were last year. They're a completely different team than they were 3 weeks ago. It's, to be honest, it's a little hard to know when the NCAA or whoever it was that made the decision on all of there was no need for a waiver anymore. You can transfer at the semester and be immediately eligible, no matter how many schools you attend. All that's gone. And so number 3 has changed their team dramatically. He's a really good player, but I actually think it's probably not only helped him, but it's helped those other guys. They're a lot faster. They play with much more confidence. Assist to turnovers are really good. Shooting the ball well. They're 5th in the country at creating steals. That's only helped when you add another on-ball defender like number 3. So they played a Southland Conference team before Christmas, the Southland Conference team after Christmas, and I think it was the day before they played Texas, the day we were playing Houston in the doubleheader. I think that was when the rule changed or went away. So it's hard to know. That's really the game that those are the three games, and they're distinctly different.
In that Texas game, Jordan Wright went off.
In the second half, he was incredible.
Yeah. What do you do to kind of keep?
Well, we've played him. I mean, I think every year that I have been at Texas A&M, not every year has he been our mirror opponent, but I think we've played against Jordan Wright more than any other player in the SEC because of his Vanderbilt and LSU. So I think he had 2 points in the first half and 26 or 28 in the second. They're top 30 in the country in shots at the rim. He's a big part of that. 3 is now a big part of that. 9 and 12 have really changed their team inside. 20 is an elite level athlete that plays really hard. So, yeah, he's been good. He's been good everywhere he's been. He was good in high school. We've known him since he was in high school when we were in Virginia. So I think there's 6 guys on their team that are using their COVID year and or are seniors. So their team's dramatically older than it was this time last year. And their returning players that were freshmen last year have made great strides in their game and their improvements. And so I just don't think I'm not coaching his team. I don't know coach like that, but I think he just now has his team over the last 2 weeks. So
Has the injunction that came out with the second time transfers, has that changed how y'all have had to scout or had to re-scout anything moving forward, or is that not something y'all have had to run across yet?
yeah, I have different thoughts on all that, Travis. You know, that was it was a big deal this time last year in the coaching world that there were not going to be any waivers. Do not recruit anybody that's a 2-time transfer. And so I asked the staff, let's not spend any time or money recruiting guys like that. And then obviously 6 months into it, every kid, every sport, they're all eligible. So it will change. This is the first time that it's come into play for us because it's only been going on for 3 weeks, but there are others within our conference that I haven't studied yet that became eligible at the same time. And so we don't have any because I wanted to try to follow what I thought it was going to be, and obviously it wasn't, and so.
What's been the biggest focus for your group just headed into LSU?
Monday we did all offense. It was an offensive emphasis day. And Tuesday we did all defense emphasis day. It's kind of the last time we get to focus exclusively on us. And so instead of splitting the day in half per se, we did one day all offense, one day all defense. And then we were off Wednesday. And then yesterday was 2 days before. And so our routine will pretty much be the same. It's either 2 days before, it's 1 day before, or it's game day. That's 6 of the 7 days every week. And then obviously 1 day is off. So if we play on Tuesday and Saturday, we're off on Wednesday. And if we play on Wednesday and Saturday, we're off on Sunday. And so we start the shooting with Buzz and the skill work and the weights, all that stuff in the morning once we get back from Christmas. So we're all factory workers for the next 68 days until the regular season is over. And there's kind of a framework that we follow. Our guys know what we're about to do in the film room. They have a really good pulse on what we're going to do on the court today for 1 day before. There's a little bit of variance relative to the opponent. And it's always a delicate line for me. I don't think it is for most coaches, but it is for me because I struggle with it. How much emphasis, energy, emotion, time should we spend exclusively on us versus on the opponent. And so I facilitate back and forth on that all the time, probably more than our guys know, but they know what's coming today, and they knew what was coming yesterday. If it's following a day off, we have early bird. Early bird is because of what happened at Baylor in 2003, and so my entire career we've always had early bird because of that. But this time of the year, early bird means shooting skill and weights. But to start SEC play last year, I did kind of a SEC explanation, and I kind of expanded on that yesterday in place of shooting skill and weights for early bird. Most I've learned that from a lot of the NFL coaches that I know. They with their new employees and their new players, they kind of have an onboarding process. And so I've sat in on some of those, and so we kind of did a SEC onboarding process yesterday for early bird. That's about the only change for the month.
3-point shooting last 3 home games has been bad. Is there anything that
Or the previous 10 games with those 3 were 330th, I think.
I was trying to be
Thank you.
a little
That's
more
all right.
regimented. But is there anything that you can do to work on that, or is it just one of those things where you shot your way into it, you got to shoot your way out?
Yeah, I think it's mostly that. Anytime you shoot it that bad, you want to make sure that they're the right shots first. We have shot some bad shots, but categorically, I don't think that we're necessarily as poor of shooters as what the numbers say. I spend 90 minutes a day on it on every non-game day the rest of the year. Hopefully that'll increase our percentages by 2 or 3% at least. I'm hoping.
Coach, how prepared does this, do you feel like this team is for conference play to start?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to make sure that my feet are where they're supposed to be on that particular day. We have good players. We have really good people. And those good players who are also really good people have experience with us. And I think that's rare to find in any sport in college anymore. And so I'm hoping that those things are a competitive advantage. I think playing the schedule that we played has hopefully helped us be prepared for this. I think there was, we may have created some bad habits over the last 2 weeks. Not specific to the opponent, but I think the opponent is part of it. Not because of Christmas, but I think Christmas is a part of it. Not because of finals, but it's just kind of, I think we've played 3 games in the last 3 weeks. And so this is the last week of 4 that we will only play 1 game a week, and now it's about to ratchet up. So I think there's a little bit of that needs to be flushed out as soon as possible, hopefully before the first ATO tomorrow. But that's the same kind of everywhere. But other than that, I think what we've done up until this point, we're probably as prepared as we can be. Similar to what Travis asked and whatever you guys were talking to Boots about, we need as many of those good players to be available to play as we can, because I know you guys are Big 12 Southwest Conference guys, but this is a pretty good league too, and we're going to need to be pretty good. You and Brent are. I was trying to be nice. Olin doesn't even remember.
You're right.
Coach, before y'all left for Christmas break, I know a lot of times you see guys running off the court to be with the family, but you had 5 or 6 guys who stayed out there until the gym was. Is that something that you haven't seen, and what is that an indication of?
I just, again, I think it speaks to who they are, and I think some of it is our community. I think some of it is the support of our program and how there's been maybe somewhat of a groundswell of our support since the pandemic and everybody's comfort in coming back out. Obviously, our success last year, I understand, helped in some of that. I think it was, now that you said it, I was leaving. That was Houston Christian, I guess. And I knew it needed to come in here, and it was after radio. And they were all over there on radio side. And normally I have go the other way, so I don't have to go through all of those people that want to tell me how to run out of bounds plays and why can't we shoot threes. We're shooting too many threes. We can't make threes. That's why I quit social media. I just have Josh post it for me. The chief of police here, you guys may know Chief Mike. And then most of the time you see Officer Carey. Chief Mike and Officer Carey don't call them guarantee games because they don't know how college basketball works. But if they don't recognize the opponent or there's a hyphen in the name, they don't want to do the games. So they've recruited this third guy. So the third guy, Officer Eric, is the chaperone for me that night. And he didn't know to carry me the other way. And so I ended up walking through the chaos, and I go, guys, I'll be back in 12 minutes. And there were a lot of families out there. And so Mason reminded me, because Christmas vacation for me was starting then. Mason reminded me I had to go back out there. I think that's good for our guys because they used to be those kids. Not all of them used to go to Texas A&M games or be able to go to a Power 5 home contest. But I think it's the appropriate thing to do. And I think that they probably walk away processing it the way you would want a 21-year-old to process it. I think Andy's as good as I've been around. You know, you very rarely see Andy wear Texas A&M stuff. I have to convince him to wear the shoes we give him. He only wants to wear one pair. You know, we've done shoe drives for where he's from. But I think when you're in that sort of an environment, it's healthy for our guys to remember when they were that particular kid and their mom or dad were trying to let them see something like that. And I think our guys are so kind-hearted that it's probably good interaction on both sides.
All right, I think that's a wrap.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Buzz, I think when